Thank you, Alex. This is going to be a very interesting one. Those percentages were absolutely wild. 15%. Is it too early in China? What's going on there? 15% on the strafe at for TYLOO. I don't think I've ever seen odds like that before with a Chinese team. That is absolutely bananas. Definitely need to send some tweets out to the boys over in Asia. They're not going to be happy when they see that. So MVP, a heavy favorite in the eyes of the public. I love watching me some TYLOO. I don't see enough of MVP myself, so quite interested to see how this one's going to go down.
Yeah, TYLOO are really an interesting one. They're forever maddening. I feel like the swings you get from like some really high level stuff to some stuff that's quite almost comedic, but I mean only they can offer that level of entertainment. So it's a roller coaster ride when you're watching TYLOO sometimes, and so I look forward to that. But yeah, MVP, I feel like that should be how it goes. But you know what? That's cool because we have the expectations set, and I feel like in this setting, upsets and crazy things have been happening on a consistent basis. So I'm looking forward to seeing what can be delivered in this series. I mean, they've had plenty of time to prepare too.
Looking at Dust2 and Inferno, the percentages are pretty 50-50 between these teams. 80% to 83%, 56% to 57%. Mirage, though, seems to be definitely a strong favorite for MVP, and that will be the decider. So we'll see how this works out. MVP starting on the CT side, all 5 with Kevlar for the squad. And there's a 3-man push through B apartments already from the likes of MVP. HSK just keeping the T's entertained in the mid position, but he might just get popped. Somebody might not be ready for this. You can see him moving towards Xbox. He's got a lot of information, but they've got no map control really. There's no one in long, but that's one way to deal with things. Just blasting them in the face, and that is quite a brutal pistol round so far. TYLOO may be angry at these that 15%. That is a savage pistol round from them.
Yeah, there's a lot of splats right there. Heads being splattered all over the place. You know what I miss, James? Just not looking at that round. I just had this, for some reason, a flashback of, do you remember that era of G2 with Shox and Scream, where they were just running down mid, killing everyone with one-shots, just always headshots?
I do miss the Shox and Scream connection.
Yeah, me too.
We've got a big headshot from Zeta to kick off the proceedings on this force buy from MVP. They've got 2 scouts. Well, the second one's on HSK. He's over towards the B bomb site. So it's a double scout hold of B for now, which is something you won't see too often. The attacker just looking for a push at present. He has no grenades, so Zef's position is, you can throw a Molotov there from roughly where attacker is standing, but he hasn't got a Molotov. Doesn't seem he's too concerned at the moment, though.
This looks quite scary. This CZ in this position is really strong, and there you go. He's got enough bullets to kill the second player if Bentet was to peek. So this is very dangerous, and just a quick wide peek onto this, pick up the gun is not too difficult. The Galil is collected. Zion is actually in some trouble here. That Molotov, ooh, perfect movement there from Zion to get out of there just in time. Quick flashbang to keep himself safe, and he's still locking down that position and occupying their time. And Zeph has crept up in a deep position. Oh, don't fancy that. Attacker in position to punish. That's so important. I felt like Zeph was getting a kill there otherwise.
Got to say, even in these 2 rounds, MVP do look like a much more organized team. I don't know why there wasn't a flashbang in that situation. Just walking out against a force buy. Freeman was by the car with 2 flashes. Why not throw the flash? He only threw it after his teammate died. So that's just like, you can't start a series with such a lack of coordination. Why did you buy all that utility if you're going to take the most dangerous route possible through a tight choke point? 24 seconds to plant the bomb, and Chess is causing more problems with this scout, looking for more tags, and this is surely not recoverable for TYLOO at this point. They'll plant the bomb, but there's a 2-man advantage, sorry, for MVP. They don't have the high ground of short, though, and that might be a problem for the guys in CT spawn.
Yeah, you're talking about coordination, and it's going to take quite a lot of good coordination to make this work, even though they have the advantages in numbers. The high ground is with TYLOO, and the AKs are being put to work here. Finally, a quick trade comes out in favor of MVP as they look to try to take down Bentet. The health is not looking too good now. Just Zeta left. He's going to go for a deep off angle to try to catch Bentet. Bentet might not have an idea if he's on the bomb or not, so he's going to have to peek. And Zeta, he moved just as he took the shot. I think otherwise that would have been a kill. And that was a desperate save from TYLOO, but not a bad force buy. They get 4 kills.
I don't think they deserve to win that round, to be honest. Just if you're going to have 3 people towards long, 1 guy walks through with no grenades, when the 3rd guy's got 2 flashes, I don't know how you play your first anti-force buy on Dust2 like that. That is really shocking stuff for TYLOO, and they're going to have to turn things around pretty damn quickly if they want to continue to survive situations like that. I'm sure there'll be more to come. So perhaps they've learned their lesson. Flashbang will stop the HE going in the right position. But again, if you're going to have a... Oh dear.
Oh god.
Doesn't get much better at the moment. Can he rescue the other weapon? I think he can, because Ventet's got the angles. Again, all these things happening in round 2, round 3, that's the best place for them to happen, basically. Yeah. So if they can be like, okay, we haven't really screwed our heads on just yet, but we've made our mistakes, we'll learn from them, and that's not going to happen again, then it's all good. 4 players will survive this round. Only the MAC-10 lost, so that's a fairly good round for TYLOO.
So now the real Counter-Strike is soon to begin when we get the buys out of MVP. I'm really looking forward to what they have to offer. And for me as well, like I really like seeing players from South Korea just because I'm like in that. I watch so much StarCraft, you know, I have a connection between you know, seeing South Koreans and seeing dominance. So it would be interesting to see if we can get some MVP just rising up the ranks over the course of the next year into the international scene. Either way, 3 men on long at the beginning of things. Actually 4 towards A, which is we're seeing more of. I think it's an overreaction that we're seeing from the CIS region as well. They've been also doing that, perhaps trying to win the round along should the Ts try to take that position. However, you can see now, big movement from MVP. They started with 4 on long, now they got 3 towards B, so much movement here. And TYLOO have not been able to punish any of it, but surely they must have heard the rotation in towards the B bomb site.
So, around you, we've seen from a lot of teams in a CIS region this week, because we haven't been covering the Asian one, looking for a pick in that mid position. Now let's see what TYLOO will do when they're not given it. 3 players towards B bomb site. They've seen the bomb immediately, and they're trying to slow down the approach. We've got a quiet movement towards the car for a crossfire. Stack's just waiting for the right time to peek, and Zeph is going to be having to hold down the bomb site. Oh, he's got the cavalry here, so we've seen good things from MVP, but it is a 1 versus 2. Somebody's got himself a 1v1. Where's the comms? He's looking away, so, I mean, Zeph's got a kill. So the communication should be there that Zeph is on the B bomb site, but somebody's looking towards A with the bomb in B. There's mass confusion.
Oh no!
He seems convinced somebody must have comped something wrong.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know when I last saw something like this extreme.
He's convinced somebody's here.
This is such an extreme, and not seeing someone there is highly confusing. And Zeph obviously can't know this, but he's gonna hear the running, and somebody doesn't seem to expect anyone to be in the bomb site. Oh my God! Surely no, that's not how it's supposed to go, James. That was a disaster.
I guess he was wondering himself what was going on. It's a fortunate recovery for TYLOO.
How does he get that kill though? running into the doors. There's all the warning in the world for Zeph.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So he takes out the first player, but he seems convinced that maybe he thinks he saw something, but Zeph did kill one of the teammates on the B bomb site. But there we go. There's another round in the bag for TYLOO. I like the setup, though, on the B bomb site from MVP, not peeking from behind the box, waiting to play the crossfire with his teammate quietly going into position on the car. Again, it's still seeing good things in what MVP are trying to do. So I guess in that sense, it was somewhat unfortunate. And now they are in Eco Town. So it's been a rough ride very early on in this game of Dust2, but it's a 4-0 for TYLOO. And it's soon to be a solid 5.
Interestingly, I'm curious if we're going to see more 4-player stacks on long, because we just saw it here on the save, but it's a save round, but on the buy rounds, because I know one of the things when this map came back into circulation initially in the top tier European and North American Counter-Strike, it was very difficult for teams to figure out how to hold long takes from the T side. So there was a degree of kind of an over-response, but we can see that there is a huge risk that you're taking if you put 4 players on a long at the beginning of the round. So I hope it's just something that they mix in very seldomly, because otherwise you're very susceptible to just getting absolutely wrecked on rotations if the T's pressure mid or B early in the round.
Ventet 10-4-1 at the moment. The megastar for TYLOO continues to be so in these difficult times. Stacks flash from his position. He's got to be really careful, but he's chosen... Oh, he's just hesitated for a little too long. And TYLOO will storm. They get that mid pick they were looking for in the previous round. And there's only 1 player towards the B bomb site on this occasion, so Zeph has a lot of work to do. It's not going to happen, and that might be a safe situation. Some team wounding going on there. Somebody just charging out, but again, the timing was a bit off in some places for both teams. But again, I think the round is over at this point. Not much you can really do.
Yeah, those fast mid timings are really brutal. It was a nice first flashbang, and it was interesting because Stax was in a tough position because, realistically, if the T's are coming at him quickly, the spot that he picked was not a spot where he has enough time to fall back, but he didn't seem to kind of recognize that quickly enough that he has to just sort of try to stand and fight, just try to kill one at least. So that was an unfortunate sort of hesitation. And that's it. The round was over at that point.
Yep.
So, and that's Dust2 for you. Those fast mid timings are deadly.
It's tough because you can't have the same response every time there's a flash through the doors, because otherwise, if it's like when we flash, he will run to B. That's exploitable information. So sometimes you've got to stand your ground. But the second flash came in, and then things were really, really awkward.
There's odds now.
Yeah. Bearing in mind the strafe odds were 15%, but TYLOO have been storming things at the moment. But there's still time for MVP to recover. I think that was a great round for TYLOO when MVP were at their max buy. So, of course, the next round should be, as long as they flash through choke points properly, TYLOO, then they should be all right for the next round. But once the buy comes in, there'll still be time for MVP to bring it back.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they, what they have to do to muster a comeback. But Zeta on that AWP and the MP9 for stacks. So I wonder if he'll be taking that towards the close positions for B, or if he'll get aggressive. He's going to make the jump, or actually just runs across. And another fast timing. Yeah, so this is so deadly. Oh man! So this is what I was talking about before as well. Like 4 players towards long. It's hugely exploitable if they actually don't go through to mid.
I think it's partly based on getting that pick, though.
Yeah, it could be the case, yeah.
So if they don't get that entry through those middle doors, then things may get a little more traditional for the T side. TYLOO moving away from... Okay, well, now they've got Summer who can... He's going to throw the flash through the doors. You can see him holding it at the moment. And flash. There we go. So they've definitely learned their lesson. But will they check glue? They will. Smart stuff. There's a counter flash for the CTs, and looks like the MVP are not going to hold on to this, or give this up rather. They do want to hold on to it, but someone's just waiting for the push. Somebody's got to swing. One of them does, or maybe not. And they've taken short at the same time, so MVP have been dismantled once again. I wasn't paying attention to the save in the previous round, so I thought it might be an eco territory, but it's not. They went for the force buy, but they still got some money in the bank.
Yeah, the timing worked out really nicely. It's cool to see because TYLOO, what they tried to sort of threaten middle. They didn't seem to want to go through mids. Obviously, we know that would have been pretty devastating, but they can't know that. But they wanted to at least pressure it, and that did actually force away, because we had that initial 4-man play around long at the beginning with the rush timings, but typically what happens is after the rush timings, the CTs will drift away, maybe just dig in one player into long position, and then they spread out, which is exactly what happens. So when you hit long at a delayed timing, you only really have to worry about one player generally. However, they weren't playing, I forget which player it was on long, but he wasn't playing in pit. And playing in pit, you get a little bit of warning. Your teammates can flash from the site from car for you, so you can actually play off your teammates more. It was more of a committed position behind the blue container. So, and that's kind of snowballed out of control quite quickly. And TYLOO are on a roll here. Everything they do seems to work. And MVP can't get a grip of this one just yet.
Yeah, despite the 4-man investment towards long, once it was challenged, they were not able to hold it for the reasons Dan mentioned. They didn't really... you just fight to the death, and that's it from that position, basically. You don't have time to get flashes for your teammates or set up some kind of crossfire or anything like that.
And that's actually a really good point, because one of the really important elements on the CT side is, hey, you can't know exactly where the Ts are going to go, but what you can do is play for delay. Like, delaying the Ts is so huge because it gives your team time to rotate, time to support you, time to work out exactly what they are doing and play against it. But if, as James mentioned, like you're just immediately confronted with a fight which you can't deny, then there's none of that delay and you just get absolutely wrecked.
Looks like potentially a tech pause at the moment. I do believe Dust2 is the pick of TYLOO, and MVP picked Inferno, but I do like a TYLOO on Inferno. You're always going to see crazy things on Inferno from the likes of TYLOO. So this is dangerous waters for MVP at the moment.
There's that Super Stiffen video of TYLOO is so funny, and there's a lot of like funny clips from Inferno as well. They just do the craziest stuff. It's just running through smokes, you know, it's just in the most insane fashions. It is funny because they almost like play Dust2 sometimes like it's Dust2. Sorry, they play Inferno like it's Dust2. In the fact that you can have this aggressive pace. And we can see, as you mentioned, like this is their pick. We can see why that's the case. They like playing this kind of style of Counter-Strike, which is on, you know, T side Counter-Strike, which is very much based on, you know, fast trades, and you're keeping it fairly simple, but you're trying to focus on those basics.
Attack pause from MVP. Looks like they'll be buying. I think they've got plenty of money to buy in this round. MP9, I think, was saved from the round prior. There'll be rifles for the most part. Now, are they going to keep doing their default towards that long position? It looks like it. You can see plenty of players facing that direction, unless they go for a short boost. Because TYLOO have been charging towards short after, for the most part, not getting an engagement in long. I think somebody maybe saw some semblance of something. So again, despite MVP's man investment in this direction, it's just not going their way. Ventet's finally been taken down for only the second time in 8 rounds. HSK looking to win a big duel, but he was in the red, and his teammates come in late, so there could have been some better timing with that, I think. Especially with, it looks like Zeta was offering some flashbangs as well, so I think they went in 1 by 1. We saw good coordination at the start from MVP, but towards long, it's not really the best at the moment. The bomb is dropped there. And they are separated. Macheta has a lovely angle that leaves Summer alone, trying to bait the shot. Won't work, and MVP get their first round on the board. Super happy with that.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. It's worrying that there's clearly maybe a communication issue or something like that at that point, because they were running at TYLOO as giving them 2 1v1s, which is absolutely not how you want to do it. They even had an opportunity with the 4v3 to just say, hey, all right, we've done a lot of damage, we can fall back now. Or at least play off of each other and shut down long in a different way, as opposed to just committing 1 versus 1. So that does worry me for the future prospects. But once again, we'll see focus on long here. A long rush, and MVP only have 3 players here, but there should be enough. But just running through the smoke, that is crazy, James. That's utterly insane.
Yeah, TYLOO clearly realized that long is a massive problem for MVP. So if they've got any reasonable spawn, they're just going for it every single time. But again, TYLOO keep getting that short position, and maybe they can do something, overwhelming the numbers that are remaining on the A-bomb site. This is very shocking for MVP. I don't know if there was timing or a flashbang or anything, but running through smokes is only something Stewie can do.
Yeah, this really reminds me of just that first era, as I mentioned, when this map came into circulation, and that was the big focus, is that teams... I mean, there was this, I think, pretty famous or infamous match, I should say, where I think it was Astralis versus North, and North kind of crushed them by notion of the map just came out, they were just hammering, they had this this long take, and they were just hammering this long take, and there's literally nothing that Astralis seemed to be able to do at that point to be able to defend it. Then after, you know, a couple matches, they just basically worked it out, and everyone else followed suit, and then everything started to normalize as it became the case that it wasn't just a guarantee that you could take long as the T side. Sometimes you do have to give it up as the CTs. There is still that really hard to defend chain flash kind of running play from the Ts that can be done to get them in pit when everyone's blind, but it shouldn't be this strong.
I think one issue for MVP is that they need to try and use flashes to get somebody in the pits.
Yeah.
So rather than, you know, you could play around that smoke, maybe with some flashbangs, but this push. So you heard there was a flash somewhere, but it was easily avoided by somebody. Seemed to be expectant of it. And yeah, I think we need to see an adjustment from MVP. If they could just figure out, I mean, it's maybe something that they need to do for the future, but if they can figure out the chain flashes on the CT side so they can get somebody running maybe even blind into that pit position, and maybe they can do something with it. But they'll continue to challenge. Sign will get taken out, dropping the HE grenade, and Zeta will take the map control. You should hear Summer scope in, but they finally managed to take control of it and even done better. But where will he go with the AWP? He's not going to be expecting somebody in T spawn at this point, keeping an on-its style in the B apartments. And again, TYLOO take position in the short area. I do wonder if we'll see a short play from MVP, because they should realize that TYLOO are just charging up short pretty much every round. Sometimes it's a little delayed because they go through middle doors first, but short is for free every single round.
Yeah, it seems like, as I mentioned before, when I first saw them playing 4 on long, it's cool to throw in on the gun rounds just every so often, but you have to know the other team's tendencies because it leaves you with a lot of risk. Dust2 is a map that has really difficult rotations for the CT side, and so if you have 4 players that long at the beginning of the round, you can really get in a lot of trouble if the other team decides to put pressure on B or mid early on in the round, or even catwalk. It becomes problematic. So to me, that looked like an overreaction to them feeling like they need to overcompensate for their difficulty with holding long. And as you say, James, it might be something where this is a leak in their Dust2, which needs to be fixed, but it's very difficult to fix that in the game. You have to kind of sit everyone down and look at demos and make some protocols outside of the actual match situation.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit stiff. TYLOO have horrible spawns to go for an A play on this occasion, so I do wonder if they'll go back to the mid doors push. So again, there were 2 flashes there. Somebody easily avoided them and then just punished them for going through the smoke like that. So again, I think as far as that's concerned, if they could prioritize getting somebody in the pit, then the flashes will be more effective, and it's easier to peek from the pit than it is to run through a smoke anyway. So indeed, TYLOO had B spawns, and they've had a look towards the B bomb site, and that can be a blessing in disguise as well, with so many continuous assaults of the long position to start to move towards B. Ooh, the HE is going to be nice. Not too shabby. Sign having a look near the long doors. There's only 2 players here for the B bomb site. Running away, just trying to avoid the flashbang. Zeph, though, what's going on there? Still alive for now. Are there support flashes from the outside of the bomb site? Zeph, I think he was in between 2 minds of reloading or going down to the pistol, but Summers alone with 7 HP. Some tags through the door. This can still be done. He's got a minute to play with. He's created some space. Doesn't know for sure that they're both outside the B bomb site, but Zeth will go straight through with a USP. Use the information before it gets too old, and there's another round for MVP.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me too, because it feels like TYLOO don't quite recognize the power they have over MVP in fear, because they've created so much fear around the long position as you were describing. And what they did was, it's awesome to do a strong mid or like fast timing on mid or B when you've created all that fear towards A long, but it seemed as though they had absolutely no pressure on anywhere else on the map, and they waited in the tunnels for so long that MVP pushed long and figured out that it was going to be B. So here's a fast mid timing, and there is, as we can see, there's only Zeph here in mid, and then there's only 1 man on B. So this is quite a vulnerable position. MVP are worried about it. They have a 2nd player, I believe, in CT spawns. They're not really looking good on the A defense, although HSK might just make it to the site in time. So it's looking a little bit better now. And they do have Zeta playing, well, he's not quite in the car position, but he can help to defend with the AWP in long. So it doesn't look too bad here for MVP. But if TYLOO have if they know how to set PCA site, they should be good to go.
Funky flashbang we saw to the short position. Got more grenades being delivered by the likes of Freeman. A minute on the clock. Somebody, I don't know if he's been dumping grenades towards the long position. There are 2 players there for the CT side. They've on blue and the corner on this occasion. HSK is going to need a lot of help. There's no flashbangs on the A bomb site, really. Just one towards long, which is too far away. But the guns will do the job, it seems, for MVP. Only 1 player left. Well, there we go. Again, it's still not too late for them to turn things around. So they dumped most of their grenades there, the CT side. They had 1 flash, which was deep on long, couldn't support the A site. Raw peaks was enough.
Yeah, we needed to see, like, the lurk smoke and then the Molotovs onto the ramp position and the chain flashes and so on. We needed to see the full shebang there for TYLOO to actually make that assault work. And so, yep, MVP with a burst of confidence after that victory. And as you say, there is definitely a realistic opportunity for them to at least get a respectable scoreline here that they can work with on the T side. And the CT side is a completely different beast to the T side, so who's to say exactly how well TYLOO will do on their CT side against MVP. That flash completely, that did not, oh, that flash completely failed, so Zeta, maybe if that flash had hit, Zeta may have fallen back a little bit, but he does have some support there from Stacks, but...
Have a look at Long. Sign looks to be getting ready to flank, but somebody's waiting for him at the moment. And again, somebody could try and use his utility to pull rotation towards the long position. He's got 2 flashes and a smoke at the moment. From T-spawn, there are smokes you can do towards the car position to take angles away from the AWP, as we saw yesterday in the CIS region. Seems TYLOO are getting ready to set up once again, and indeed, Zine has pushed He's coming to the short area. If HSK and Co can delay, you can see with the flashbangs and so on. This is a very interesting position, which we'll get to later. Has he got an off angle? In the meantime, here's the flank on short side. It's only going to be good for one. There's one from HSK. Looks for multiple, but it will be just the one. So much opportunity, but Zeto's still here. But he's going to make peek from the low ground. Beautiful second shot from him. But Bentet's past the angle. It's a 1 versus 1. He has to consider this. He hears the beeps. Surely he pulls out the AWP. Doesn't see anything just yet. Spots him. That's a beautiful clutch from Sheta. Difficult position for him. Very, very important flank on long. Didn't get enough from it. So jumping on those boxes is a very brittle position to, say, hold the short position with an AWP. As they come around the corner, you can spot their heads and so on. But if you take one shot, it's pretty hard to get back to the site. So you don't see that used very, very often. But it was just enough.
There you go, 4 rounds just like that, and the money is finally in dire straits for TYLOO. Some flashbangs here to help defend any fast long timings, get players in position, much better, get HSK into pits.
There we go.
That's what we like to see. And TYLOO perhaps going for a delayed take of long here, given the positioning of their players. Zion going absolutely aggressive, though. This is interesting. You don't see this too often. I like the lineup. I do wonder about this though, because presumably, you know, it's quite easy to spam the CT if you had a rifler or two in that position. If he was holding a close position behind the doors, but TYLOO will go for the cat push.
We've only got 1 rifle.
That's a very good point.
Perfect timing.
And they've been really going for these A plays. Interestingly, we haven't really seen almost any B splits, which I think would be very strong for TYLOO. But they've long since abandoned them, and so much success has been found in defending these pushes from MVP. Yet TYLOO still okay. Looks like they're going to abandon it. Looked like they were going for it. Change their minds, perhaps.
Yeah, long has been the key for most of the success for TYLOO. But that success has come and gone. They've got a half buy here. 40 seconds remain. Got some grenades out to the mid position. Freeman going to show first with the bomb in tow. And here comes the split. Zef seen by the window. Got to be careful. There's only 2 of them there. MVP very out of position on the other side. And that is a huge frag for the T side so far. Stacks has got so much to do and he won't be able to do it. And with all the grenade dumping earlier on, there are some flashes, but not much more for MVP. Bentet trying to entertain. Invited the guests over. And that's going to delay MVP. They could be walking into a crossfire. And in fact, they'll have to back off from that. Yeah,
their money really is very bad. And I'm so happy that TYLOO went for a B play, because again, if you instill so much fear towards A, yet you never go towards B, you're kind of playing well, you're playing against yourself.
You're conditioning them to defend it with more people.
Exactly, yeah. You're really making it harder for yourself. And the B splits are so strong on this map too. And also the other thing that's interesting is that because MVP have been so paranoid about A, they've had very, very limited mid presence early in the round, which means you can get free, very fast rush timings into mid, which are devastating. It's so strong. I can't really emphasize it enough. If the CTs know it's coming, then that's a different story. It's not so bad to deal with. But if they don't see it coming, if they don't have anyone checking mids, then it's outrageously strong. So 10-4 is there for TYLOO. I'm glad they went for that B split. I guess they put the presence on Cat to try to make sure that MVP were, again, fearful of that A push. But here comes the long flashes. Not a huge investment from TYLOO, that's interesting. And they won't see anybody towards long, so that means they'll know there's a lot of players around Catwalk, presumably. So what's the protocol when they think that, okay, there's CTs on Catwalk, what is their pre-planned response to this?
It's almost like the bottom of B train, the jiggling with the grenade held by the CT. Very risky stuff. We'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, somebody's looking to creep up long, so TYLOO are going to play off of somebody, the lack of information towards A, and storm into the B bomb site. I don't know if Stacks is... I feel like Stacks is going to get caught, especially with Zeta... sorry, Summer's about to peek him, it seems. Okay, so they're charging into the B bomb site in the meantime. Somebody's still alive for now, and there goes the B bomb site. Zef's outside the door. Meanwhile, somebody's going to deliver a lot. And that's quite the round from TYLOO. No information for MVP towards the A-bomb side. Just creep up. Perfect timing. Again, risky plays. Gambles being taken, but they won't work out. It was the last round, and it's 11 rounds at halftime for TYLOO.
And we are back. TYLOO, 11-4. That's quite the score there. On their CT side, they'll be working with a lot of comfort, with a lot of confidence. And MVP, they really struggled. That was a huge, huge struggle here on map 1 in this series. And I do wonder if there is a comeback to be had here. The T side, it's a different beast entirely, James.
It is indeed. I think that 4 rounds is nervous territory when there's a pistol to win. So we'll see what happens there. Somebody's lurk worked out pretty damn well. How did he know there was another player there? Marvelous stuff. TYLOO with a monstrous start to this best-of-3 series. I don't know how they're 15%. I feel like that's got to be like a bug or something.
It's weird, isn't it?
It doesn't make any sense, but they're going to be active on their CT side towards the short position. But MVP are going all 5 men into the B bomb site. Freeman's got himself an off angle. There are counter flashes for his teammates. That'll leave the T stuck by the car, and that's where they'll all die. Zeph and Zeta, the last men standing. Freeman trying to hop up, but wrong timing for him. Man advantage for TYLOO, and again, they're looking to work together. Window and tunnel push at the same time, back of the head and dead, and that leaves Zeta with 2 players to take out. He's got double stack to work with, moving around, trying to keep track of them, trying to get the 1 versus 1s. He's got more bullets, but maybe not versus both of them combined. Another headshot from Bentet, and that's a huge pistol run for TYLOO. Keeps MVP on the back foot with a terrible score.
Yeah, this might be a fast one. I mean, MVP, they've got some decisions to make here. Do they try to go for a force buy and just say, you know what, we're really far behind. If we don't get to grips with this immediately, we're going to lose anyway. Let's just go for it. Or do they go for a save, concede the rounds, give TYLOO the 13-4, and then just play for the AKs? And I like that they've done this. Oh, Zeta's bought a P250. I feel like he could have just gone for a Glock as well here. They've got no utility. At this point, you just don't care about this round. You just go and die. If you can get some economic damage, great. Unlikely, but that would be great. It's all about that next round when the AKs come out. So this should be a nice little highlight clip for one of the TYLOO players. Although that's pretty far with the UMP to be relying on his teammate there, Freeman. And indeed, the UMP is not great at this range. And there is problems. They're actually going to get a bomb. They could get a bomb down. Ooh!
There's the value of the P250.
Yeah.
Almost a second kill for the P250.
Third kill.
But second kill for the P250.
Oh, right.
Thank you very much, Dan.
I see what you're saying. I see what's happening. But that was huge damage considering they only had Glocks really.
Yeah, but they played it as well as they could. The smoke was shallow. They got to the edge of the smoke and then burst through. People just playing moving target, basically. It's point blank for the arcade gentlemen among us. Here we go, 13-4 for TYLOO as they look to take the long position. There'll be a challenge, it seems, but that Molotov may isolate players. HSK got a challenge in front of it, down to 5 HP as he moves away. Really desperately needed to get something out of that, but almost cost him 2 lives rather than just the 1.
Oh no, here comes somebody with the auto shotgun. Auto shotgun on Dust2. There he goes. And that's a quick kill onto Stack. He's found the bomb as well. And considering that HSK's on 5 HP and someone might just see him here. There it is. That's devastating. Down to 2 players. And let's not forget that they've got a UMP still. Okay, not anymore. A FAMAS and an auto shotgun. TYLOO's economy is, if they win this round, is going to be out of control. And here comes somebody back at it again with the shotgun there. Did he switch out for the UMP? No. Apparently not.
Little panic. T had his back to him, but he didn't need to gamble. Just fell back, can hold his position. Near mid is auto shotgun. That's pretty cool. 50 seconds remain, and there's very well timed Molotov spotting some plays. Attacker sees the last one. Look at tracking the corner of the wall. Beautiful stuff. And this may be a short game of Dust2. All TYLOO at the moment. They were 1.1 during that first half on GGBet, and I do wonder if it's going to get even worse the way things are going at the moment, although there may not be time left to really put anything down on this one. TYLOO trying to storm their way to the Major. Tickets are available at the moment. Major.starladder.com. All the VIP tickets sold out immediately, I'm told.
Oh dear, somebody's going straight in here with this AK-47, wants to shut this round down as soon as possible. And they are winning every single fight here. Expected, obviously, the weaponry and Kevlar advantage is significant. 2 Deagles remain. 2 Deagles remain, now just 1. But able to get, almost lining up for him, but there we go. 15-4, this is such a fast Dust2. Feels like it hasn't even, I feel like it only just started.
It more or less did. It's just brutal, absolutely brutal. Loads of game points for TYLOO. Loads and loads and loads. Will we see any rounds from MVP? Well, we'll soon get our answer. Zeph's going to be on the AWP. I think this is a spawn-based thing, looking towards long doors to have a peek in the meantime. There's no respect style from TYLOO, entertaining towards long and straight into the meat grinder of somebody, but it seems it's faulty for the time being. I love the no respect style from TYLOO. Now, MVP have got good enough control elsewhere around the map to not be too concerned after that push. We've got HSK outside the entrance to B. That's quite a deep flashbang, but there'll be no shooting from Freeman. Not afraid, won't concede his position. TYLOO looks to hold on to long.
This is where this match could end. TYLOO, they get a good defense here. Could be it. Here comes the flashbangs, here comes the push. Bentet with a nice spray, baiting for Attacker. And, the barrel spotted, I think, there. I'm not sure if Zetter actually knows that he's there. And the smoke goes down. This is what we're talking about. Attacker can play off the smoke, though he's going to perhaps overplay his hand there. And there's a real chance here for MVP. They've taken position on long. There is a flank coming in from Summer, however. Will that make it in time? That's the question. Freeman's stuck on the bomb site. He's got no utility. Oh, he's actually elevator, I believe. So he should be able to stay alive for a while.
32 seconds left. MVP very paranoid at the moment, and it seems that their fears are correct. Zetter looking the wrong way at the wrong time. Is HSK ready for this? He comes off the bomb plant. 20 seconds remain, and that's going to be that. An open and shut case. Not quite Poirot, more like Colombo. Solid game from TYLOO, and MVP never got started in that one.
No, they did not. They struggled so badly with long. It seemed like their CT Dust2 needs some work. And TYLOO, Dust2, it's just such a TYLOO map in how they like to play. You get to play very aggressive, and it's very T-sided if you have a T-side that makes sense, and they did. So it's good to see that TYLOO get off to a good spot, especially considering that MVP seem to be the expected winners here, interestingly, surprisingly. But that was all TYLOO.
15%. It's wild. You can't be 15% when there's an Inferno in the series, as far as I'm concerned. That was a stonker from TYLOO. Yeah, we saw some issues for... It's funny because the first few rounds, I feel like we saw some good coordination and two-man play from MVP, but it kind of soon fell apart towards long, and maybe they can break it down further on the desk. Over to Alex.